Welcome to the Hobby Jogger Podcast, where elite athletes and ham and eggers lace up their stories. We explore the common ground that running creates, from the world-class runner to the hobbyist hitting the pavement, trail, or treadmill. Expect a blend of inspiration, laughter, and the shared joy that makes every step count. Join us on this journey where every run is a story worth sharing. Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Hobby Jogger. I forget what number it is. Maybe we'll add that in post-production. But this week, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Will Walmsley. Will, preparing for the Laurel Highlands Ultra. How's it going?
Weather is starting to warm up. Loving it. Makes being on trails a lot better. But yeah, trails are whooping my ass right now. So it's going to be fun.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you're having fun. Today, we have an awesome guest on. I'm very excited about it. She is a former gymnast, current ski-mo athlete, professional runner for Hoka, Jess Brazeau. Jess, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Is it would I call you a ski-mo or ski mountaineer-er?
Well, the French wouldn't call me a ski mountaineer, but I participate in the sport.
If I am a runner, you are a ski mountaineer.
Yeah, I guess by US standards for sure, but by actual like competitive standards, probably not. I'm not sure I'll ever go that route, but it is a really fun sport. But yes, ski mountaineering.
You've placed in a couple races over there and here, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very competitive.
And it's a good region where you were competing at.
Yeah, I guess because it just depends on the day. But I'm not horrible, but I wouldn't say I'm like extremely competitive.
So modest. How good are you?
Not that great in comparison to like the top like European athletes. But I'm not horrible. So I could get a lot better at it if I actually like put my attention towards it, I think, and did a bit more skiing in the winter. But right now it's just kind of like a fun way to keep fitness in the winter. And I grew up skiing. So yeah, it's a really nice way to get outside and explore an area in a different season.
It's awesome. I've started to follow the sport, and I got to get out there to some mountain, probably Seven Springs in Pittsburgh. I know they now allow it uphill skiing. I read,
Yeah.
and it looks like a ton of fun. You're taking them off. The guys, girls are pulling the skins off, and super cool sport. Very intense. Very cool to watch.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. And yeah, the uphill part can be hard, but obviously you get to enjoy the downhill, and it's a lot less pounding on your joints than running. So it's a really good way to just do some kind of lower intensity on your muscular skeletal system in the wintertime instead of just like running through winter.
When you do that, you go out for quite a while, don't you? Like do you have long skis, I guess? Like what I mean, like long run, a long ski session?
Yeah, definitely. If you're doing like more backcountry stuff, it takes a bit longer. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to like follow some great people around in Irish Beaufort in France. But a lot of the skiers out there, their minimum day is like 3 to 5 hours. Yeah, it's a lot.
Just to stay warm because you start to sweat. Like I can go out for an hour when it's cold here, when it's in like the 20s. That's
Yeah.
it. Like I can't go longer because then I'm sweaty, and it's just not fun after that. So props to those guys for staying out for that long. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a pretty gear intensive sport, and you got to be really nerdy. So I think my counterpart and Will's brother is pretty good with the gear aspect and like layering appropriately and buying all the right pieces that it's going to keep you warm enough or cool enough on the way up, but like warm enough on the way down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem.
All I've heard on that is it just makes when you're running the amount of gear you have. Oh yeah, that is way easier to manage now.
It does. Yeah, truly. There's no barrier to get out the door after like ski season or bike season. Running, you just put your shoes on and go.
Who's better on the downhills? I've heard it's not even close. Like, you're way better.
No. As the season goes on, Jim's not, he's not horrible. He's really good for where he's started.
I've seen videos. Yeah, Jess, you're way better.
Nope.
Hey, it's a learning thing though, because you grew up skiing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
No,
whole.
definitely.
And once you know what edges are, and it's a whole very much like riding a bike, very easy to big difference.
Yeah, no, it helps a lot having like kind of that muscle memory from years of being in my youth and skiing. And yeah, when you touch snow for the first time when you're 16, you're already at a huge disadvantage from all these kids who have grown up in the mountains. And yeah, so I do have the valuable advantage of time on my side.
They growing up in PA, they had skis on me at like 8 because
Oh,
it's
nice.
yeah, it's
Have you skied in PA before?
No, I've actually never done any East Coast skiing. I heard it's pretty icy.
It's a lot different than Tahoe,
Okay.
Reno, where you grew up.
I know I'm lucky. I grew up in a very great spot in the Sierras to ski.
stay out there. Yeah, it's but you get so good so quick
Yeah.
skiing out east that
Mhm.
it's when you go out when we would take trips out to the west, it was like this is a lot of fun. This isn't chattering ice and
Yeah,
yeah. So
no, definitely. It's kind of like trail running too out there. You guys have more of the technical skills than a lot of the people out west have.
yeah, that's so when we were out there this past summer, I was like, this is like what we call the towpath. Like this is like rail to trail stuff for us out here because everything's especially in PA and up through the Northeast, but super rocky routes. Like you could be running downhill. I told Will this. You could be running downhill, but still have to step up and over and out of like holes and over rocks and yeah, a lot different running, more speed, I guess, where you're situated out there in Flagstaff, huh?
We got rocks. Will's been out here.
Oh my gosh, the superstitions run out there. I mean,
You almost died. Just kidding.
no, I thought it was a run, and it was most certainly a hike. And I think watching you, the uphills, I was like, oh, look at this. I'm keeping Jess within my eyesight, on the uphill. I thought I was doing good just by that. And then on the downhills, I'm climbing, scoot my butt down a rock, and I look up and it's like, where the hell did Jess go? Like she just bombed the downhills already at the bottom, and it's just this technical rock that I'm having to like scooch my butt along, and you're just hopping like a little mountain goat all the way down and end up just dusting me on that. I'm like, well, yep, that's what today is. This is a hot exposed hike for the winter. All right, here we go.
It was hot that day in your defense. I don't think you had enough water.
I had a lot of appreciation. Like I know how good you are in the uphills. We've done that. But then on the downhills, technical ones, like you're just on a complete another level. And it's like, I didn't think you could make that much time on the downhills. I was like, yeah, you're probably gonna kill me on the uphills, and that's where you make all the time. But the downhills, you're even bigger gap. That part to me was really shocking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give you a chance to take me on a trail run in Ohio sometimes because the undulation of the short and steep climbs and the routes is just, oh, it's so much harder for me. My heart rate gets so high. It's rough.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's what I was used to running the first time we ran at Lake Tahoe together. We have our short, punchy climbs at maybe quarter mile, half mile. I remember you're like, hey, you want to slow down, pal? And it's like, I don't know. I'm used to going on these short climbs. And that's the first time I've ever had 3 miles just going up. Yeah, it was about a mile in, and I was walking, and about a minute or two later, you, Allie, and Ben are all passing me. It's like, oh, good job, bud.
Yeah, it's just a different style of running. It's hard. That was like very, I think the East Coast is a bit similar to like the trails in Chianti where the race that Jim and I did this past March. But yeah, I don't know. Well, eventually I'll make it to Ohio and it'll be the great equalizer, and you can pummel me on some Ohio trails.
Chianti, where you took fifth. Awesome. I
Mhm.
followed along. I was watching. I was into it. I always tune into your races. I remember the wild Struble. Is that how you say it? Struble?
Struble.
Had
Yeah.
some snow difficulties there, it seemed.
Push an Enville Casper in it, Winstruber.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Jess, but you were my introduction to what like high level trail running is.
How is that?
So at OCC, when we started walking up to see you up the hill, like these guys are coming down and some women, but they're just beaten and blasted, like couldn't walk. And then like a couple minutes after that, you're just flowing still nice and steady down the hill, smiling and waving. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, so some people can still run at the end of these things and like perform like that. So you were my introduction to not just a death march at the end of a race.
Oh, well, thanks. That's very generous, I think, of you to say.
Yeah, it was cool to see. It was kind of really like why I really started enjoying the sport. Because up until that point, I didn't, other than me walking the last 10 miles at the Buckeye 50K, I didn't really know too much about it. So yeah.
Oh, you've come a long way.
Yes, I have. And you also didn't you race Will at something out there?
Cave Creek Thriller, December 2021.
Wikipedia. See, that's why we have him as a co-host.
Just beat me by about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I believe you told me that you were talking to her at the start line, you started, and then you never saw her again.
Yeah, she did like a nice warm up at the beginning. And as soon as the gun went off, just took off. And it's like, oh, I thought that was a little aggressive, but yeah, a little rocky wash or whatever. It's flat section, but it's one of those Arizona washes that I feel is technical.
Yeah.
And right away, 7-minute pace, just right out of the gun, like nice and easy for you. I'm like stepping on every rock.
She's gotten over on you quite a bit, bud. Yeah, we need to bring it back to Ohio for a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll see. It's just what you train your body to handle.
for a hot, humid, or not rocky, but Rudy mess of a trail run out here. Now, Jess, you were a gymnast, like as a young. I imagine that started very young.
Mhm. Like around 7 years old, maybe.
Yes, one of my favorite sports because Andy and I were just watching the college finals down
Yeah.
the other day. And I said, it doesn't matter where you go. You could go to a biker bar in the middle of Pennsylvania, the roughest, toughest crowd, wherever. If you put on gymnastics, everyone is going to say, wow,
Yeah.
I can't do that. That is awesome. So, how do you think that is correlated to your trail running? Because I imagine there's quite a bit, because there's no bad athletes in gymnastics. Like, it's crazy. It's insane the level of athleticism that gymnastics takes.
Yeah, I guess I've actually never thought of it that way, and that's kind of true. There isn't like, of course, there's like varying degrees of athletes. Like I was never Simone Biles, but yeah, you can't really mess up where the consequences are super high. So it's a very unique sport in that way that it requires like really small margins of error. I would say gymnastics. I was a competitive gymnast for 10 years and I was on the collegiate track. On my way, I was getting scouted by some colleges and I was looking into going to Boise State. But then I quit because I was super burnt out after all that time and I couldn't imagine doing 4 more years of gymnastics at that level and improving upon that. So yeah, but I would say like the biggest benefits it's given me, I've gotten so many life skills from the sport, just learning like goals, work ethic, like perseverance, like what it takes to pursue something at a level that intense. And that's like translated into a lot of other lessons in life. And it's definitely a part of like why I seek to find like my best self in running and what I can do. Like what is my highest end in terms of competition and whatnot. And then I would say like physical benefits, just like my aerial awareness is pretty good. I have pretty good agility and like proprioception and awareness of where I am in the air and on trails. So I feel like that really benefits me with technical running downhill. Because I've seen that with some of my friends who didn't have that background in getting into trail running and starting on like steeper, more rocky technical descents. They've really, really struggled. And that was something for me that I didn't realize that came a lot more natural.
Yeah, that makes sense because got to be pretty. I mean, everything happens so fast in gymnastics. I like a vault. I know the vaults. I'm not good with the names. I just enjoy watching it when it's on TV. So I'm not real. What was your event?
I was not a powerhouse athlete, so I was not good at vault. I was okay. Bars, not good. I balance and balance beam and floor. Two more artistic events, I guess.
Here's a question we weren't sure. Is the floor bouncy?
Yes, it has springs in it. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so
Yeah.
because I was like, this girl did not look like she tried that hard to flip like 6 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
there, it's interesting to think about actually, and I kind of draw this parallel, and I should look into this a little bit more between like running shoes and floor, the makeup of the floor now, because when I was first in gymnastics, it was just like plywood, springs, and a little bit of foam with carpet on top. And there were definitely like not all floors were equal. Some were like way bouncy and others just were horrendous. So now I wonder, like, are they putting like these kind of super foams in the floors, like they're putting in shoes? That could be interesting. I actually haven't looked at that, and that's the first time I've thought about that.
It would make sense because hey, you want them to go higher and it's probably a little bit safer.
Well, yeah, and all the tricks like from when I like 2008, 2007, when I was kind of at my peak of gymnastics are vastly different than what they're doing now. Like they've really professionalized the sport and then you've just seen like the difficulty of the skill levels get harder and harder and harder and harder. Like some of the stuff you see on TV now, that wasn't even no one had ever thought to even doing those things when I was in gymnastics.
Hey, folks, if you're loving the stories, tips, and laughs we're dishing out, make sure you don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when a new episode drops. And hey, if you've got a second, why not leave us a review? Your feedback helps us improve and keeps this running community growing. Lace up, hit subscribe, and let's get back into the show. Yeah, I'm a very casual observer of the sport, but it does seem just from watching, I'm the Olympics, they're on the NCAA finals. Like, I'm not going to say I know anything about the sport other than that, but it does seem that but a lot of sports have been like that. I mean, I see, like the BMX kids now are doing stuff that we didn't dream possible.
Professional cycling too.
Yeah. Oh, the cyclists. I have a former professional cyclist friend, and he just talks about, he's like, I don't think I could keep up in this era of, he's like, I would have been like a mid amateur at some of these races and I was a pro 20 years ago. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, things are moving warp speed.
Even for trail running, it's kind of like that nowadays.
It is.
It's now versus 20 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't say that out loud around some people though.
It's a different sport now.
Yeah, it is. Much different sport.
A lot less is now known. The unknowns back then and the secrets, figuring it out. It's now out on the table, best practices. Yeah.
Yeah. There's training, which that's what I want to know how you train, Jess. Because you give what you basically, I don't want to say you coach Will, but you definitely guide Will at times, I believe.
He's Coach Jess. My sister is Coach Jess.
Coach Jay. Yeah.
No, I've gotten like just random messages from Will being like, "Hey, I need to do a workout this week. What should I do?" Like, I don't really. Well, let me go look back at your Strava and see how your training's going and where you're at.
I think the funniest thing is like after I go do one of your workouts, I go see like another running buddy or something that'll copy my same exact workout and go do it later that day or the next day.
Oh, that's flattering.
So are you coached? Do you coach anyone? Do you have like a system that you use, or is it just?
Yeah, so when I first got into running, I had no idea what I was doing and I would just run everything as hard as I could and it just like felt good to like run fast, but then of course I was like injuring myself all the time. So I had a coach for a bit, and then I had a few years where I didn't have a coach, and I was self-coached. And then recently I've had a coach since the beginning of 2023, which I like. I really like the structure. It's nice to have someone kind of lay it all out in front of me, and I don't have to decide too much. Really, I just get to go pick where I want to run, which is my favorite part anyways. But I do collaborate with my coach. It's a really open dialogue, a great trusting relationship, which I think is like crucial to having a coach. And he has certainly helped with my vertical climbing, and I've just gotten so much better working under him. I don't coach at the moment. I feel like, I don't know, I might have some imposter syndrome about that. And even like stepping into this role of like running for Hoka as well is like, it's very new to me. So it's something that I've been like trying to work on to accept that as my identity and in a way, and that I deserve to have those opportunities like other athletes do. And so I feel like maybe in time, coaching could be a thing, but I feel like I need to gain more experience still. I don't know.
I think you have a lot of experience. I know I've asked Will in the past. I'm like, dude, could she just like tell me what to do? Like I just go out and amble about. I have no structure at all. I am easy. Someday okay, I feel pretty good today. Let me just run a little bit hard.
I think when Jess was helping me a lot more, because I guess I don't use you as much of a resource as I
Well, you run marathons now. I know nothing about that.
I've run one marathon. Okay.
Yeah, but you ran it so fast.
And I use Coach Connie for that.
No, no, no. I couldn't have trained you for that. That was great.
Yeah, Connie Gardner. But yeah, when I started out, one thing I loved about like getting you, the other people I knew from the running community, I'd ask them like, hey, what do you use for nutrition? And give a generic blanket statement of, well, you got to test out a bunch of stuff. Everybody's different. Whereas I ask you, and it's like, you make that same qualifying thing, but it's like, hey, this is what I use. And if it doesn't work, here are a couple other options. But you at least gave starting points. And for someone getting into running when I first started, that was super helpful. You're the first person that ever told me about what a bonk is. I remember when I tried my first ever 10-mile run. It's like, yeah, something about an hour in, all of a sudden it got really, really hard. And you just started laughing, like, you bonked. You
Yeah,
got to take nutrition.
that's an essential phrase or essential word for running.
And now I've enjoyed running a lot more because now I look forward to getting to eat along the way.
It is. Snacks are great.
Yeah, that is a good I figured that out now for this next race. I figured out the eating part. I figured out the strength part. Now we'll see if we can make it all go together at one time. We'll see.
Well, email me later, Casey, if you're interested. I would certainly be happy to, if you want to bounce some ideas off or need some guidance with a training plan for a race.
I appreciate that, and I will.
Now, one question I have, like when you go train for something, do you look at the course elevation and the length of it? Like how much does that impact like your weekly mileage and weekly elevation like targets?
A lot for me.
Like, do you know like what those ratios would look like?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's interesting you say that because I've actually kind of looked into other people's training, and a lot of girls that are a bit faster than me don't do as much vert as me, which is really impressive to me. And I'm like, well, how do you keep that muscular endurance strength if you're not running those long ascents and descents? But also, these are people who have like a bigger aerobic base than me, have been running since like middle school or high school. So it's just they're coming from a really different background. So I do races that have a lot of vertical gain in them. So I do think about the amount that I'm climbing per week in relationship to the race itself. So I at least on my long runs, I'd like to do at the minimum 50% of the vert that's in the actual course. Usually it's a lot more. And I don't know if I can replicate a race within like 70% of like the distance invert ratio of the race, I'm pretty happy. So a lot of the times, like if the race is going to be 10,000 feet of climbing in a 50K, I try to run around like between 16,000 and 18,000 feet of vert per week. just to really like get my legs ready for that kind of thing. And luckily, I'm in a place where I can do that. I know not everybody has access to longer climbs, and yeah, it gets harder, and you have to be more creative when you do have terrain that's not like you're not able to replicate what the race conditions are going to be like and the climbs are going to be like.
We have a treadmill.
We have people that do hill repeats where they will do 100 kilometers just running up and down a hill.
Oh, gosh, that's mental.
And it's a quarter-mile hill, so it's a lot of reps.
Gosh, that would take the joy out of running for me. But I also really commend them because I could never train like that. And that is seriously some tough mental strength.
I think they fully live up to like trail runner, general stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
We have one hill that it's usually done on down here in the valley. And I know when one of them's on it because there's rocks at the bottom on the post.
Yeah.
So that they can count their reps with rocks.
Oh, that's so mind-numbing.
Yeah. Like if I lose track of the count, I feel like maybe I'm done. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that same boat. I do understand. Yeah, like I would probably be that person if that was the situation I was in.
You make
For
do.
sure.
So you said that you got faster on the uphill, correct? Because you took fifth at the ascent. I hope I signed up for the right race this year. Vertical, is that the vertical kilometer? Is that the ascent at?
Yeah. That was the one at Broken Arrow last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you got faster. What did you change in your training, do you think, that made you, because I hear people ask that all the time. How do I get faster running uphill? I don't know. I would say just run uphill more, but I'm not a coach.
That's honestly what I did, and that's what worked for me. I know runners that were ahead of me run a lot flatter intervals in training and a lot faster. I mean, they're still doing hill work, but my coach had me focus a lot on a lot of hill repeats that were over a 15% gradient.
Okay.
Like steeper, shorter stuff. So it would be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 to 6 minutes up gradients that were like 15% or more.
Okay. Because I think after 10, I'm just power hiking. Like 10% is right. After that, it's just like, yeah, I don't know that we're going to make much progress. So,
yeah.
So, okay, 15%, that seems to be like a good grade then. I can treadmill it. So,
yeah, I mean, you just like gradually, maybe, I don't know, my advice would be start a time frame of an interval. So like, what can you maintain at 15%? And if that's only starts off at 30 seconds, then just however long you can run at 15%, whether, it's 30 seconds or a minute, do a few repeats of that and gradually try to increase the time.
So do you think it'd be better to start, see how long you go at 15%? Or would you go the other way of, hey, let's go from 8% next week, 10%, and you run for like 20 minutes at that, and then you just keep trying to up the elevation?
I guess it kind of just depends on how your legs handle each percentage. Because like Casey said, like above 10%, he's hiking.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't gotten the muscular endurance yet to keep a run going.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Not for very long.
I'm just like 15%. That's where I start practicing my hiking.
Yeah.
Actually, probably
No, I mean, it's
that.
good to practice hiking too at that. In all honesty, I did hike in that vertical ascent. I did not run the entire thing.
That is wild. Those races to me are the wildest of like human ability, because no one wants to run up a hill. Let's be honest. Like, well, clearly they do because it's like there's a wait list for it. But it's because when Will and I were out there with David and Jeremy, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, people actually, because I watched it the week before, but people actually ran up this entire thing, and to me, that's the craziest thing we do in this like trail running sport is the vertical ascents, the vertical Ks.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting. I think it all depends on just what your body is most efficient at. Like Jim, he's more efficient at running up 20% gradients, where me, I can power hike them faster than I can run them.
I'm a downhill specialist. I rely on gravity a lot. And
Perfect.
That's how
I'm just an aid station specialist. If there's food there, I can make that disappear real fast.
Hey, you gotta lean into your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
Train your
does.
strengths.
Yeah. So, the wild Struble, that had a lot of vert too. I don't know how that course was, but Nice, that was your last. Yeah, you've ran some huge vert races.
And then you're signed up for Broken Arrow. Are you doing the 46K this summer?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is that a hometown race for you?
Is it what?
Is that a hometown race for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family's all in the region, and I went to University of Nevada, Reno, and that's actually, yeah, like Tahoe region and kind of Auburn trails and on the Western States Trail. That's where I got my introduction to trail running, which is really cool.
Heck of a place to do it.
I know.
Yes, you are. It looked like I think I saw that you're signed up for it. So is that your next race? That your next time on the start line?
Yeah, at the moment that's the Ascent in the 46K or what I'm racing next. I might throw in a small race in May. We'll see how training's going, but those are my bigger goals, and that'll kind of just dictate the rest of my season based off of how I do at those races. So I don't really have any sort of summer races planned yet, or I'm not even signed up for anything past Broken Arrow, in all honesty, just to see how that goes, and if I make a world championship team. So we'll see.
Is that a qualifier for the world championship?
Yeah, so the 46K is a qualifier for the short trail team, and then the Ascent is a qualifier for the vertical.
Sweet. So is this like top three, top two?
I think it's top three for the 46K, and then 3 resume spots. And then the Ascent is, I think, just the top 4.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. In the finals, I know this because we've talked about it on this show. Austria?
They're in Austria last time.
Ah, where are they?
Pyrenees in
The
Spain.
Pyrenees. Okay,
And
Spain.
Franck.
Did you know that, Will?
Yeah, I knew it was in Spain.
Of course you did.
I've talked with my brother and sister. Like,
I figured you knew.
I had an unfair advantage on that one.
Well, that's awesome. Jess, I'm hoping you make it. I'll be rooting for you. We might be out
Thanks.
there for it for the vertical ascent. I'm not sure. We got to
Oh,
talk.
you might be out there?
Yeah, we're thinking about it, making it a full week. It's awesome out there. We had a blast in
Yeah.
Truckee, and
It's a really great week of, yeah, running and sport, and it's really fun, and it's such a nice place in the summertime too. So
oh, it's beautiful, and area's awesome. The people were great. The beer was really good. That's what's really, really important to our trips that we take is the
Good.
beer, right, Will?
Yeah, the only thing I missed out on beer related was the beer mile.
Yeah, I hurt my toe, so I was out of the beer mile.
Jess, are you doing the beer mile this year?
I saw a beer mile is like pure torture. I would rather go run a vertical than do a beer mile. I am
Yeah.
so slow. I've done one beer mile and I think it took me like 13 minutes, and it was so awful. Like the running part wasn't bad, is the chugging the beer part where it was just felt so
The
nauseating.
funny part about Ohio trails is you have to chug beer.
Oh yeah, every long run you do.
No, every hill.
Oh.
Every hill.
Interesting. That's how you guys get so strong with your guts.
Yeah,
Can handle any nutrition with that.
that might be true, actually. That's a good point.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of tactics, because I'm trying to pick up some stuff here. This wasn't supposed to be a quiz Jess on how to get faster episode, but here we are at the Hobby Jogger. So how do you handle the in-race nutrition? Like how do you build off of that? Is it like, do you like the liquids, the gels, both? Or you
I like both, in all honesty. Nutrition's so hard. It's so varied between person to person, and it's so individual. It's also really varied on like climate or how intense you're running. If it's cold, if it's hot, if it's humid, if you're in your threshold zone, if you're going easier. It really depends. So, my biggest piece of advice, and I by no means nail nutrition. Actually, at Chianti, I kind of had a really bad like last 8 miles because I didn't get in enough nutrition, and I kind of had a pretty epic bunk the last 8 miles, and that cost me actually getting fourth place. So yeah, I was chasing third up until mile 20 until I kind of unraveled. But my biggest piece of advice is just to train your gut as best as you can, like simulating a race environment. So when you have a workout, treat it like you're in a race. So take a gel 10 minutes before your workout, take a gel or drink liquids in between intervals and stuff. If you're trying to get in, if your workout's like 90 minutes, if you're trying to get in however many grams of carbs per hour, try to do that during your workout. So that's my biggest thing is I really try to fuel as if I were fueling for the race. And whether that be like long runs, I'm trying to hit like X amount of grams of carbs per hour, and that's what I want to try to do in the race. And then, or like I'm trying to train my gut to take a gel midway through the ascent, which is like a super high intense 45, 50-minute effort.
When we tried it, it was about an hour and a half for me.
Hey, that's not bad.
I almost made it to the top two, but lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of lightning out there that day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty scary. Luckily, we did not have to deal with that.
So you mentioned carbs per hour. I know that seems to be a hot button thing to talk about these days.
Yeah.
I'm just simple, like well, I'm not simple. Well, I am simple, but not like that. But and how I think in the approach. But I think there's got to be just a limit that your gut can handle and absorb through the intestine.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Whereas if you push past what you can actually use, I feel like it's got to come out somewhere and probably not a good fashion. So where do you sit on that kind of? Do you have it dialed into your hourly?
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. So another, I mean, it's hard because you can't just strictly think of grams of carbs per hour. You also have to think of the amount of liquid that you're intaking as well, because some people require more liquid than others to kind of like offset the amount of carbs you're taking in. Like, yeah, it's really hard. Well, I mean, luckily, I have I mean, I studied nutrition dietetics in at university, and but not sports wise, just kind of more of like a clinical health setting. So I understand a lot of the science behind it, which is great, but I also work with like a sports nutritionist too, because I mean, I could try to figure it out myself, but it's just easier for someone who's been doing it and kind of has seen the trends and stuff with competitive running and whatnot. But yeah, it all it's like so like individual based. Like Jim takes in more grams of carbs per hour than I do, and he doesn't typically take in a water bottle, whereas I like to do like a water bottle, say full of like 60 grams of carbohydrates, but then I have another 500 milliliter flask full of water, and then I supplement with gels in between, and I don't know, try to get between 70 and 90 grams of carbs per hour. Like 90 is really high. I can do that in training runs because I'm running a lot slower, but in races, it's really hard.
I can't after like 3 hours, 90, because it's things aren't working the same, you know? I mean,
Yeah, no, I think it's hard.
yeah.
How important is sodium in there to you?
Very important.
Have you had a sweat test? Because
Yeah, I've had a sweat test. I'm not a super heavy sweater, fortunately. So I do minimal sodium supplementation, but it's not just knowing like your milligrams of sodium that you sweat per liter of sweat. You also have to know how much you sweat. So that's the part where I've kind of just been guessing because I haven't been actually figuring out how much water loss I've been losing per run. And then that's like a whole other like scientific thing on its own where you're weighing yourself before and after runs. You can't go pee during the run. Your sweat loss rate is different for different temperatures. Like it gets pretty intricate. So I haven't like delved into that part yet. So I'm kind of just like guesstimating just based off of my milligrams of sodium the sweat test provided, which is like not super scientific, but
I'm like the engineer in me. I'm like, it's not that hard. It's sweat rate plus sweat concentration. It's
Yeah.
two variables. Sweat rate changes on the weather. The concentration doesn't.
Yeah, but you have to just be strict with like weighing yourself before and after runs and making sure you don't drink anything after your run and you don't pee before you weigh yourself.
So I pick the beers out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't drink your beer during your run. No. I think there's some where you go like hour long runs, you go like fasted and you don't drink or eat or anything. I think long runs you can still drink fluids and you can still weigh yourself before and after, and there's some valuable information in that. And then you just kind of calculate the how much fluid you took into the in during the run. So yeah, so this is why I have a sports nutritionist because I don't want to do any of this.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
Like when we
I'm
got a
lucky.
sweat test
Yeah.
through eViews, and yeah, pretty much we were allowed to drink water, but they tracked how much we drank. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
exactly. I feel like if you really like the nitty-gritty science stuff behind it, it can be a really fun project for like people to do. It's pretty simple. It's not like super complicated or anything. It just takes time and it's tedious.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jess, on that. Like, just someone please figure it out and round it for
Yeah.
me and point me in the right direction. But it kind of speaks to what Will said, how far the sport has come in 20 years. And
Well, yeah, definitely. No one was measuring their sodium like
oh,
15 years ago, a decade ago, even.
I think I remember hearing like Scott Jurek on a podcast, ultra trail legend,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was talking about trying to get more calories in an hour because that's how they measured it. And he
Yep.
tried olive oil because fat 9 calories per gram, whereas
Yep.
carbs 4. He's like, oh, this is the secret sauce right here. It just caused all kinds of GI issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I cook my eggs in olive oil.
You tried it. Nowadays, we know that that doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I feel like the top high-end caliper of the sport in trail running and like we can relate it back to professional cycling. Like these athletes are not taking in oil. Like they're not fat adapted athletes. Like they are high performance carbohydrate going straight to their muscles and filling their glycogen sources.
Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah.
there's no gimmick. It's just, yeah, glycogenic stores. Did I say that right?
Glycogenic stores.
Glycogenic stores.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm from Pittsburgh. We don't pronounce things right there. So you got to bear with me. Yeah, bad pronunciation. Also, another thing that's changed a lot, Jess, and you're now a professional runner for Hoka. Congratulations again. But the shoe technology has
Oh yeah.
warp speed, light speed past what it was, what even I'll say 5 years ago, it seems, from
Yeah.
my little bit of research, correct?
Mhm.
And your company, Hoka, is definitely on the forefront of that. We did a last episode where we talked about the Tectonics 3. Is that a shoe that you wear, or do you like one of the other shoes out of the Hoka lineup?
I wear it occasionally. I well, for verticals, for me, I really don't. I don't feel that it's necessary to have a carbon shoe. I want something with more tactile feel on the ground and something that's grippy and I can push off of. And really just like feel my steps because it's really important not to like have any sort of, I don't know. And also I just want like a really just like lighter shoe that just doesn't feel like a shoe on my foot
Yeah.
when I'm running uphill races. Jim and I have plenty of disagreements over this because he's a little bit more on the cutting edge of shoe technology than I am. And I mean, I think there is a place for carbon plates and whatnot. But speaking with in January, we had an athlete summit in Portland, and we got to meet with like a lot of like the shoe development and innovation teams, and they don't know the answer of how beneficial a carbon plate is for trail running. They do know that the carbon plate holds the foam in place and the foam helps with not having your legs, like it helps with fatigue resistance in your legs. So they do know that. But in terms of like propelling and actually like making you faster, outside of like the fatigue resistance stuff, they're not really sure like how the shoe performs because like the carbon road shoe was like developed completely based off of like kind of like gait analysis and propulsion and stuff on a road, like the energy return on a road. And on a trail, it's just so varied and so different. I feel like the shoe doesn't work the same other than like the fatigue resistance aspect. And that's like kind of what I got out of them, is that they just like don't know in terms of trail running, like how much these shoes are helping. Yeah, other than that, kind of like fatigue resistance fact, because there's just so many variables. I think the Tecton X3 it's a great shoe. It's a little big for me. I don't like how clunky it is, so I've actually like saved kind of a back stock of the Tecton X2, which I think in my opinion, I like it better. It's a little lighter, it's snappier. It feels like it's more responsive, where the 3 to me feels like a little bit more clumpy, but it's still like a great shoe. And I've still done plenty of runs in the Tecton X3. I prefer to race in the Tecton X2.
Yeah, I like the two a lot too. I know what you mean. It does feel a lot snappier. Like, I don't want to say lighter because it's not lighter, like the same weight, but it's just, I don't know, it does feel different. Like,
Yeah.
I get more like race mode when I wear my 2s.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to try pushing going fast. Whereas the 3s, it's like it's a comfortable efficiency. So like you end up going fast,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the same like, oh, racing mindset. Like I want to go fast. And I don't know. That's what I feel like when I wear the 2s on that, the snappy feel.
I'm I'm still as an all two fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Zenel too. That's my favorite shoe ever.
You're the first
That-
person
that-
with an L2s I saw, Jess.
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely were. That's what I wear out in Laurel Highlands is the Zonal two. That's just about the only shoe I'd wear out
I think
there.
it's a great shoe. I mean, it's not a, okay, it's not a great ultra shoe. Some people wear it for ultras. I don't think, I could maybe do it in a 50K. I think my feet would be pretty tired and I'd have to train up to that. Usually past like 2.5 hours, they start getting pretty tired. But I do really love that shoe. I think they've stopped the production of it for now. I've been told that there is some innovation on maybe a Zenel 3 in the future, and it would be cool to see the progression of that shoe. I would like to see maybe a little bit more foam in it so you could take it a little bit farther, but without getting rid of like the classic feel of the Zenal, how you sit lower to the ground, how you can feel the ground a little bit more, like the overall integrity of the shoe. If there was a way to maintain that with adding a little bit of foam just to take it further, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's my Rocky Rudy mountain shoe, I guess, is
Yeah.
what
No, it's great for that. The lugs are perfect and the Vibram's super sticky, and yeah, like if you rolled your ankle in it, it's not catastrophic because you're not like this high off the ground.
that's exactly why I wore it for the Laurel Highlands 50K last year, and that's
Yeah.
exactly why, because I like to protect my ankles
Nice.
and be able to walk afterwards. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was like to me, that was the perfect shoe for the stuff that we run around here, especially. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that they might be working on a 3. That's
Yeah.
breaking news. Look at the hobby jogger. We're breaking news here, Will. Good job.
Breaking news.
Look at us, man. Look at us. So going back to the efficiency on the carbon plates, do you think it would make sense off of that theory to train in non-carbon plated shoes for your long runs, build up that muscular strength, and then when you go to races, then incorporate the carbon plate? So now it's like, hey, you have that efficiency and you've already built up almost like super bodily efficiency before that.
I think a lot of runners are actually doing that to just get like, yeah, a lot of their muscles a bit stronger and more resilient instead of just relying on like the softer foam to kind of cushion everything. I think people are doing that, but I don't know. You're the engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you said that, and like my head's kind of spinning on that. And I mean, I do think training in the carbon plates, there is something there because the recovery, you're able to get better quality miles throughout the training off of it.
Right.
See, I looked at it as kind of like I guess it's similar. The baseball player, when he warms up in the batter's box, he puts the donut or the weight on, and that's kind of like your trainer shoe. And then you
Yeah.
take the little donut off when it's race day, and that's when you put the carbon plated go fast shoe on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Honestly, I try not to train daily in carbon plated shoes. But with the Tecton X2, since the foam's more stiff, I feel fine training in that one daily. It's just like these softer, like EVA foams or PBAX foams. I feel like, yeah, kind of, I don't know, they make you soft. There's no rationale well, I don't know if there's rationale to that either, but obviously fact check me. But I've also heard like physical therapists and stuff just speak to like the more odd, weird injuries people are getting running in these softer foams more often. So I don't know. I don't think it's a bad idea to not train in a carbon shoe or a soft foam shoe. And then for like your workouts or maybe a long run or two, wear it. And then race day, it's there to help you.
Yeah, and the foam certainly helps on the downhills. Like I have found, like it's a huge difference to how I feel after a hilly mountainous 50K just from the downhill pounding. That seems to take a lot of the impact shock maybe out
It
of.
definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. You're right.
because I felt really good after Grindstone 50K, and there was some real long downhills in that. I also got stung by a bee in the thigh, so that could have been part of it too. That like helped speed up the process of the healing. So I don't know.
I feel like that would hinder it,
Yeah,
but maybe not. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a. We got the engineer here, the chemical engineer. He should be telling us this.
I'm not a doctor. I make salt.
It makes salt.
Yeah, let your husband know that I work for Morgan because he got asked that a year ago and he had no idea.
Yeah. Will is sponsored by Morton Salt.
They do pay me.
Well, I think you should work out a deal with Will and Casey to do all your salt testing. And then Will can just, you can just start doing like,
I'm biased. The answer is you always need more salt.
yes, I've heard your sodium rates a little high.
Oh, it is exceptionally high. Today, the hot weather. Yeah, I love the hot weather, but then I got back and my gear was just covered in salt.
His was almost immeasurable, I think. Yeah, Will salts up a lot. I was saltier than I thought. The salt test definitely helped overcome the salt challenge, I think. So,
Oh, good.
one last thing for you, Jess. Will reminded me of something. Are you a music running person or not a music running person?
No music.
Yeah, no headphones.
Raw.
Raw dogging, huh?
Raw dogging. Yes.
Yes.
I do admit I did use the use of music as a tool during the Chianti block because I was doing a lot more flatter road running and it was really, really boring for me. It's my least favorite running. So I did use music, but when I'm out in the forest, I don't use music.
Yeah, trails I never do.
Yeah.
But if it's the towpath, yeah, it's
Yeah, I understand that. Like
podcast.
There's only so much like mentally unstimulated you can handle.
Yeah. Especially when you run the same thing all the time. It's the same tree, the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm saying, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever ran with headphones.
Mm.
I do have a pair of the head shocks. Pretty nice. Terrible for airplanes. I have to wear the big goofy ones on the airplane because they don't cancel the noise out at all. You can actually hear. So that sucks for airplanes. But anyway, Jess, we've been about an hour, over an hour, I think. Close to an hour.
2 minutes tardy.
Yeah. Oh, probably me. I'm always late. But I really do appreciate you coming on and just kind of shooting the shit with us about everything running, gymnastics. I didn't get to mention Michaela Maroney's vault. I meant to do that. Next time.
And ask favorite cheese in France.
Yeah. What?
Favorite cheese that she had in France.
Probably all of them, I would imagine.
Raclette.
Raclette's pretty good. No, there's a woman that has 98 goats that lives above the house that we rented when we were living there, and she makes a really, really great goat cheese called gratin. That one's pretty good.
Homemade goat cheese.
Yeah, it's nice.
Do you know how to say goat in Polish?
I don't. Can you just? You probably do.
Koza.
Koza. Nice.
Yeah.
Last name.
Aha, Casey Goat.
Yes. That is your Polish lesson for the week. So
Perfect. Well, I'm never gonna forget it now.
Yep. Yeah. It's very easy. Yeah. It's I didn't like it as a kid because the kids knew like a goat. And then now it's cool, like
It is
to be
cool.
the
It
goat.
means something. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Well, you know how kids are. They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're all awful. Yeah. But thank you very much for joining us. I certainly appreciate it. Wikipedia, the co-host. Appreciate you, pal. And until next time, to my hobby joggers. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Hobby Jogger. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support keeps us moving forward. Until next time, keep those feet moving and enjoy the miles.